Well, hello again. I'm sitting in this empty trailer. I'm about to get it loaded with some more scrap paper. And guess where I'm headed next? Back to my favorite place. The place where I just sat the other day for 10 hours. That's where I'm going back to again. My next best line of defense is to ask for a new fleet manager. So that's what I'm working on today, because this is not working out. One thing to know is that trucking companies keep statistics on all of their drivers. They're looking at your numbers. They're looking at the miles you're running. And the situation I'm in right now is making it look like I don't know how to run because I'm just not getting the mileage. When it comes down to it, it's like, you know, how much is this power unit making, this truck? How much is this truck making? And it's not. That's all they need to see. So I'm not going to let it remain a situation where I'm unable to earn for myself and my company because the person who is managing my freight and my movement is not where they need to be. You know, that's kind of the impression that I have at this point. So fingers crossed. I'm trying not to get upset. I'm trying to think big picture because that's all you can do. You can't let the moment get to you, but I'm saying that now. But ask me how I feel when I'm wading through garbage water in a couple hours. Well, like we always say, that's trucking. Good morning, everybody. Be grateful that you don't have smell-o-vision, because this is the place that I was at that I was telling you guys about that's so stanky. We got lucky today because this area that's usually like a swamp is not currently a swamp of garbage water. So it's garbagey and it stinks real bad. But I'm getting unloaded, and then there's a good chance I'm going to be stuck here for many hours waiting to get reloaded, but maybe not. Maybe I'll get lucky. I'm going to try to stay positive. Hello, good evening. So greetings from the Ohio Turnpike. Things are going well. I didn't have to spend too much time at the garbage dump today, and that was a huge plus. And went straight from there to my next pickup, and on the way there had a great conversation, albeit frequently interrupted on both sides, with my new fleet manager. And I'm super thankful to another driver who, you know, finding silver linings, right? So that day that I was stuck for 10 hours, I met another driver, had some great conversations, and got some really good information. And sometimes it's all like just happening to talk to the right person at the right moment. And that led me into a situation where I was able to figure out through this person how to negotiate for not just a different fleet manager, but a specific fleet manager. From what I have as a first impression from speaking with the fleet manager, I feel very confident that things are going to be making a 180 and I'm going to be on the right track, and I'm really, really happy about it. Basically, I'm going to be driving, not sitting. Let's put it that way. I'm probably going to be driving about twice as much as I have been, which is exactly the amount of driving I want to be doing. So I'm feeling really, really encouraged about that. And it's also just good when you get a sense from somebody, when you talk to them, you get a sense that they really are on it. They really understand the sense of urgency, the way that your energy needs to be in this type of a business when you're trying to make things happen. It has to be aggressive. And when you talk to somebody who is working on your behalf to keep you moving, and that person has that right level of aggressiveness, and you can sense it, you can hear it in the things that they're saying, and you know that you are definitely ready to meet that challenge, and you're going to show this person that you have what it takes to, you know, be on the level that they need you to be at, it's a win-win. So I feel really good about that. What else was I going to tell you guys? Oh, I'll show you a picture. I was at this next pickup that I had today. That wasn't too bad. I was there for like 2 hours. It was a little slow, but I was glad because my phone was going crazy today, and I was able to call people back like my dad and have a nice talk with my dad today, and lay in my bunk for a little bit because I started my day at 3 a.m. It is a little before 8 now. I need to eat something really quick and try to sort of wind down quickly and go to sleep because I do need some sleep. But when I got out and I pulled out of the dock and they put the seal on, there was a woman back there who had been the person that put the seal on, and she was just talking to someone else, and they were looking at the back of the trailer and kind of laughing, and I was like, what's going on? And someone had written "I heart boobs" on the back of my trailer. I have no idea when it happened. I don't know, but it was funny. And I decided to leave it there for a while because I was like, you know what? It'll entertain people. People will be driving down the road and laughing. And then it was just making me laugh as I was driving because I kept imagining people seeing it, especially kids, and like being like, oh, that says "I love boobs" or something, you know? But like, or adults. Immature adults like myself, and I imagine them like laughing and then being like, I have to see who's driving this, like because when you see stuff written on the back of trailers, which I always think is kind of weird, you see it kind of often and it's usually something denigrating a political person. So you're like, oh, okay, you know, like I'm out on the road, I'm trying to escape all that bullshit. But when it's something funny, it's great. And so I'm always wondering, like, there's a little part of you that knows someone else, some rando wrote that on this person's trailer. The driver didn't write that on there. Like, you know, they probably didn't. But I was like, someone's going to roll up next to me just to see who's driving this trailer. And they're going to be like, oh, she doesn't know that's on her trailer. And I'm just thinking about it and having a laugh every time I think about it. So I don't know how long I'm going to have this trailer, how long I'm going to leave it on there. So that was funny. That was a little silly bit of levity in my day. You need that. You need to be immature sometimes and laugh about boobs and people writing silly messages on trailers. What else? Oh, I was just going to say on that same note, I always mean to mention this and I kind of forget about it. But when I'm in the moment, it makes my day when anyone, especially kids, does this thing. I love it. I hate when people do it though. Like there was a time when someone did that next to me in traffic in Chicago, and I was like, no, because I'm like no, and I'm trying to gesture like I'm gonna terrify the people that are sitting right in front of me. Like I don't want to do that. So I only do it in certain situations because I know it's startling to people and it can be dangerous to, you know, just suddenly start blowing your air horn. But when it's kids, I love it. And I love seeing them go like, yeah, like they get all excited. And it makes me think of my older brother when we were kids. He used to get so excited to get the trucks to honk the air horn. I'm doing the wrong hand. It would actually be this hand. But anyway. And then sometimes when adults do it, I think it's adorable. And I have to honk the horn for them because I'm like, you're an adult, but you're still being like a kid. And I think that's really sweet. And it's just these little moments out here because things can be so intense and like it's dangerous and there's all this stress. And when someone gets a kick out of someone blowing the horn, it takes you both right down to your childhood in a second. And I just love it. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a good one, whatever you're up to. I'm having some long days, which is awesome. And I'm feeling thankful to the other driver that helped me and to this fleet manager who I know is going to be exactly what I needed to get things turned around. So good times. Things are good. Hello. I'm laying in my bunk for what is a very bumpy unload. You'll probably notice some banging and bumping and moving around. I'm having what I would characterize as a pretty derpy day. I am in Pennsylvania and I feel like kind of discombobulated. I think I'm just really tired. And it's so weird because it's like it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I got up at about 3:30 today and the morning was just a long morning of driving. It's just a long period of time driving, which is good. And then my log was being all weird, so I had to call the safety guy and talk to him. I've been having a few issues with Samsara. Anybody use that? It can be a little weird. I don't know if it's the app. I totally gave up on using the tablet. I don't even try it after they put a new router in or whatever. I'm just going to wait till I'm on home time again, which will not be until later this month, one more week, like 8 days from now. So I'll be staying out for 3 weeks at a time. I think I might have said that. Guys out here on the East Coast that I've encountered at work, like at customers, are generally a little more flirty, I've noticed, like kind of more forward. I don't come out east that often, and it's kind of funny, and I don't really mind, except one guy was a little bit of a creep at this yard driver. He was kind of weird, but yeah, it's funny. It's interesting how people are different culturally from one place to another. So I've got a Love's that's about 2 hours away from me on my way back to, sorry, it's so bumpy. Is it like, it's giving you motion sickness to watch this? Because, oof, this is an aggressive load in. But and I hope that means it's going to be quick. Not that that should matter, because I think there's a difference. You know, some forklift operators are real smooth about it, and I don't think it necessarily makes you faster or slower one way or the other. I had a weird moment where I pulled into this customer. This is like a metal place that has a lot of metal coils and stuff, and they have a few docks for van drivers, and they have more docks for flatbeds. And when I first pulled into where you check in, it was all flatbeds, and I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong driveway. And I went over to the guard shack, and it was this like tattooed dude. He's like covered in tattoos, hands, everything, arms, hands, covered head to toe. He was really cool. I mean, not that it's cool to have tattoos, but he just was a cool, friendly guy who also happened to have a bunch of tattoos. And he was, yeah, he was real nice. And their yard, it was like a gravel gravelly yard, not total gravel, but it was, I thought it had water all over it, like they were trying to keep the dust down, but it was some kind of like oil, and that was weird. And then when I tried to pull out of the lot, I was going up a little uphill, and my drive tires were like spinning. I'm like, what the shit is going on here? I was so confused, because when I got up under this trailer at the last pickup, which was 5 minutes away, it felt weird after I pulled it out when I was going slow. And I actually pulled out of that shipper after I had checked everything, of course, and I got onto the street, and then I got onto the on-ramp and pulled over again and just got out and looked again, because I was like, something feels weird. Of course I checked to make sure my coupling was good before I moved the truck at all. I'm obsessive about that. But flashlight, even in the daytime, always. But yeah, it was real weird. I don't know, I couldn't figure it out. And one thing about this truck is that it has a sliding fifth wheel, which I've never used before, and I am totally clueless about. And one day I was trying to, it has airbags that you can control, so I was trying to drop the airbags, like lower the suspension down to get under a trailer, and I accidentally pressed the sliding fifth wheel button, and now I'm looking at it and I'm like, did I accidentally slide the fifth wheel without realizing it? I don't think I did. I hope I didn't, because that would be lame. Yeah, I need to ask for some help with that, because I have no clue how to do anything with a sliding fifth wheel. I know though that it's useful sometimes to rebalance your weight. Man, this is an aggressive load in. Jeez, bro. So yeah, that lot was like greasy, and then I couldn't get out of it, and I like backed up and did another lap and looked at my truck, and I'm like, is there something wrong? I don't know, man. I feel like a space cadet today. I'm real tired and just like kind of out of it. And it's nearing the end of week 2, and I thought I was going to be doing 2 weeks out and then 2 days at home, but it's going to be 3 weeks out and 3 days at home. And whatever, man, as long as I can make it to a Walmart to get some groceries, because I'm running out of everything, and get some sleep on my 34 on my day off, which will be Sunday probably. But I'm otherwise real happy. I really like my fleet manager still. I really like the plans that he has. I like the fact that I have my next load coming into me before I've even delivered the one I'm on. That's the way you want it to be. It's all good. So okay, I'm rambling. I'll put this down now and close my eyes and not sleep for 5 minutes, and however long it takes for this. I'm just staring. I'm looking at the mirror. I'm looking for the light to turn green. I don't know why I am when he's actively loading me. Oh my god. Anyway, pace. I just had a really frustrating experience at a Love's, and it got me to thinking about a very important question. Is the expression, who peed in your Wheaties, a universally known expression that's just kind of old? Or is that just something that my older brother used to say? Wow, man. Oh, I'm not awake yet. Yeah, it's the worst feeling when you're trying to, like, you know, take a shower, do something, whatever, buy something, and the employees like act like they can't hear you. This dude had an AirPod in, and I was like, hey, can I get a shower, because their app has been down since yesterday. And he just ignored me. He just straight up ignored me, and he was walking towards me as I said it, and then he gets behind the counter. I was like, hey, I don't know if you heard me, can I get a shower? He's like, I heard you. I was like, whoa, okay. And that was after last night. Went in there to the Wendy's and tried to get myself a Frosty and some fries, because man, I've been running so hard and I deserve it. And there was one guy ahead of me in line, and I guess their computer must have been not working or something, and different employees kept coming up, and there were so many employees behind the register, and one of them would glance at me periodically, and I was the only other person behind him in line. I had tried to use the kiosk, but I didn't have a card on me, and it didn't take Apple Pay, and I had my phone. They all ignored me, and I stood there for like 10 minutes, because I'm like, well, they must be finishing up with this guy any minute, you know, but no one said anything, and I finally just got so annoyed, I just left. I was like, man, this Love's needs to get their shit together, man. I've worked in the customer service industry for a long time, and I have a lot of patience and compassion for the employees, but when they just straight up ignore you, it is the most frustrating shit. So that's all I got to say. That's my rant. I'm gonna do some breathing exercises, make some coffee, and get on the motherfucking road. All right, when you haul something like coils in a dry van, They have these little boards down that they place the coils on to keep them from sliding around, and they nail them into the floor. So I'm at a Lowe's for my 34, and I just borrowed a crowbar to pull all these nails out of the floor. Hopefully it won't be too hard to get out, but it's weird little things. So now I got a bunch of boards full of nails that I need to dispose of somehow. One of those things customers are like, here you go. All right, thanks, I guess. Thought I would give you just a little bit of a recap of my long, pretty stressful day at the end of what felt like a very long week. And I was trying to remember earlier when I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, I was like, did I start with the new fleet manager at the beginning of this week? I think it was like partway through the week. It feels like a blur, and that's partly because the huge upside of having a new fleet manager is that I've been running my ass off, which is exactly what I wanted. And I'm so relieved about that, but it's also a major challenge, which is great. It's what I wanted. I also have a little part of me that's like, you know, thinking, is this how this is your life now, at least for the time being? And it is a radical change from where my life has been in the last couple of months, because I went to the flatbed job where I sat, and then I spent my first couple of weeks here, or week and a half, or whatever it was, sitting. And then thankfully, such a great thing that I just happened to talk to the right person, and they connected me to the right person, and it led to me requesting to work with someone different, and it was a perfect fit. I'm so grateful. I already really like this fleet manager. He is really on top of things. He's very sharp. He is clearly very good at multitasking. The way that he communicates things, I can tell that he is really aware of everything that's going on, and it makes me feel more secure. It just feels like I'm in the right kind of, I have the right kind of support to maximize my own potential, and that is amazing. It's really cool. And it's also cool that he was a driver before, so he understands things from my perspective. That is just priceless. It's really difficult to explain to somebody who's brand new, if you've never driven, or if you're new to driving or thinking about it. Having the right person as your dispatcher slash fleet manager, whatever it's called, that it's basically interchangeable at different companies, it can make or break your income and your experience, because there's some fleet managers that you can tell right off the bat, there's certain things you're not even going to ask them for because they're not going to have a clue, you know. I also really like that every time I speak with somebody on the back end of my company, anyone, they are super friendly and polite, and like, they'll say things like, oh, you know, call us back as many times as you need. They're like awesome. And it's really different. It's night and day from calling other companies where you could tell they were totally overwhelmed, and sometimes they would give you an attitude. Sometimes they were full on like, why are you calling me? It's after hours, which it's like, you know, trucking is a 24-hour business. That was when I was at the reefer company too, which is weird. It's really nice to have friendly people in the support end of the company that are knowledgeable and can answer your questions, and they're efficient, and it's just, everything so far has been really good. So I'm very happy with that. I've been running through like my whole 14 every day. I've been trying to run it. I've been getting up at like 3:15, 3:30 every morning, 3:45 today, and then working straight through until like 30 minutes before my 14-hour clock is done. And I've had to stop a couple of times. And then I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about this last load that I delivered and how different it was, like surprising. So I delivered a load of coils in a van, which I forgot that people do that sometimes, and it was one of the most uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable loads I've ever dealt with. And that's hard to explain to anyone who's never driven a truck, but it just made me wish, like, I wish every car driver could feel what this feels like. I was going from eastern Pennsylvania to Ohio with that load, it took most of my drive time today to get to the destination. I barely made it. And part of the reason why, I would have had a little bit more of a cushion, but this morning when I left the truck stop, I had both GPSs I was using set up correctly, I thought, to avoid I-76, which my company does not allow us to use because the tolls are extremely high for trucks. Like, you know, tolls for cars are one rate. If you're in a truck and you have more axles, it can cost hundreds of dollars to take one toll road. So that is one of the roads that's verboten. So I was following my GPS, and one of my GPS's trucker path kept trying to turn me around, and I was like, what is going on there? And then I looked ahead in my Garmin and it was leading me to I-76, and I was like, no. And I'm in the mountains. It's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's still really dark out. You can't just pull off anywhere and turn yourself around. Even if there is an exit, you don't know for sure if you can pull off there. And it's that those types of mountain roads, they don't have like shoulders that you can just pull off on safely. At least you shouldn't. They do here and there, but they're kind of few and far between. So I was like, the long story short is I was probably 15 minutes out of the way before I was able to turn around. And thankfully I got real close to where I would not have been able to turn around, and that would have been very bad. So thankfully I made it. But that extra, when you're running as hard as I'm trying to run and you're in the mountains and you have a load that is around 43,000 pounds, it is dragging you backwards down the hill every time you're trying to go up the hill. It is challenging to manage your speed going down the hill. You have to anticipate and very carefully control your speed. That's where those guys that drive manual transmission trucks, I feel like those are so much better probably for an experienced driver who knows how to handle one of those vehicles in mountain roads, because if you know how to select your gears correctly, you're going to be able to do it effectively and really feel like you have control over the truck. And I have very little experience with that, but I got just enough when I was first starting out and driving a 10-speed manual transmission that it helped me understand how different it would be in a mountain type situation. But I'm talking about eastern mountains, so Pennsylvania, the Virginias, the grades, the highest grade I encounter is like an 8%. I was watching a smart trucking video recently and he was talking about like 20-something% grades, which sounds totally terrifying to me. What I wanted to tell you guys that was kind of crazy. So when you're hauling coils on a flatbed, eyes to the sky coils, so the hole is toward the sky, right? And you strap those down with so many straps. It was weird to me to think about hauling coils in a dry van because you don't strap those down. Like, you can technically put straps on the front and back, like crisscross straps, and you can strap those to the walls of the trailer, but the coils are set on top of pieces of wood, which I'll show you some video that I took after I was cleaning out the trailer, that are nailed down into the floor of the trailer with these big nails. They can't slide around, but I think what the difference is, I think, I could be wrong, I get the impression that they do a higher number of coils that are smaller when they do it in a van, and they're distributed evenly enough throughout the trailer to like balance out the weight, because you're dealing with fewer, or you're dealing with your axles not being split like they are on a flatbed. And also most of the time those flatbeds, not all of them, but a lot of them are 48 feet versus 53. So it's a shorter trailer with split axles, so it balances the weight in a totally different way. And I can tell you, I mean, the first time when I was on the Conestoga, or the curtain side, and I was hauling those coils, I had them load them so two of the coils were kind of close together, sort of above and between the back two axles, and I hated the way that load felt. It's so crazy how when you've been driving for any length of time, really, I mean, for a little bit of time, you can feel the load in the trailer when you're driving. Like, your body can sense the way the weight is balanced, and it's a really hard thing to explain, but I hated the way that felt because I felt like it was all dragging down in the middle. Like, if I felt it like it was dragging my belly down in my head, which is hard to explain. That doesn't make sense. But when I had the coils set up differently, after someone that I met at my job explained it to me and said, you're doing two coils, one over the back, like the front of the two back axles, and one right over the landing gear, so they're separated from each other. That was like so much easier to haul. But you're dealing with a couple of large coils in that scenario. These were, I had 9 aluminum coils on this load. There were 4 in the nose of the trailer, and the rest of them were kind of forming a line going to the back of the trailer. I wish I had gotten a picture. I cannot tell you how physically uncomfortable this load was, because literally every bump in the road made my spine feel like an accordion. Like it made it, the bouncing, because it's making the trailer bounce up and down on the kingpin, and it's causing like this teeter-totter effect with the tractor. All of my stuff in the upper bunk normally stays totally secure. I have like bungees up there, and I have stuff kind of wedged and pressed in so it can't go anywhere, and normally it doesn't. I had to move a bunch of stuff down to the lower bunk because yesterday a bunch of stuff fell down from the top. It was so just stressful. So I was under the gun with the schedule. I'm going up and down mountain roads. The best part was when it was dark, because once it got light out, there was cars, and I wish car drivers had any clue how much more dangerous they make the roads for us, and how scary it is and how stressful it is. The way that they do things is just crazy. That added a whole layer of stress. But then just being in a rush and having to haul this load that felt so physically unpleasant, and it's hard to explain, but I was a ball of tension all day today. So I made it barely on time, and of course when I got to the drop off, it was in a door that was super tight to get into. It was really like obstacle course type deal. There's a yellow pole that is exactly where you need it to not be in order to get into this door, and you're just like, oh man, you just start to feel like it's candid camera type shit. So anyway, got that done, then talked to my fleet manager, and was immediately in a rush again for the next load right before doing my 34, which is tomorrow. So it's almost 8 p.m. I'm getting pretty sleepy. I'm gonna try to edit some video here, and I'm gonna go to sleep and sleep in the morning. Tomorrow I'll be doing this 34. I'm at a truck stop in Indiana, and I'm gonna be able to PC over to a Walmart because I have run out of everything. I'm like out of food, I'm running out of paper towels and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make a run and stock my truck for the next week, and then I will have home time in 7 days, I guess, ish. So I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about that. It was an interesting experience hauling those coils, and I hope I don't have to do it again soon, because that type of load combined with mountain driving is not a good time. So I'll catch you guys later.